Crash Tag Team Racing was developed by Radical Entertainment and released in 2005 on the GameCube, the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and PSP. Of course, I'm reviewing it on the GameCube because I'm just obsessed with the system. This is Crash's third racing game. The original on the PlayStation 1 is praised as one of the best kart racers of all time, and I definitely agree with that. But I feel like no one talks about this one, so I'm here to shine a light on this hidden gem of a kart racer. As you start off the game, you are introduced to two announcer chickens that are actually really funny. Each time the chicken on the right is shown, he's dressed differently, and it's something that's so subtle that when you actually notice it, it makes you laugh. It's understated humor that's not in your face, and it's great. These chickens set up the plot of Crash Tag Team Racing. The deranged genius cyborg Ebenezer Von Clutch has made a racing amusement park, Motor World, with 5 different themed areas. Von Clutch had all of his power gems stolen, and he needs those to survive, so he's offering up the ownership of his entire park to whoever returns the stolen gems back to him.
Pasadena, really? I have only a short time left before I am Kaputski. We must find more racers. Is there no dumb cast among you to accept the challenge of the greatest race of all time?
Well, sports fans, it appears we've found our dunkers.
This is unexpected. The first time you get your hands on gameplay, you platform without a cart in sight. I thought that this was a racing game. As you make your way from Crash to Von Clutch, you play through a tutorial. I've never been a fan of these type of tutorials. Now, it's fine and all if you're a young kid, but you can figure out the basics yourself. What's the first thing you do whenever you get your hands on gameplay? You start pressing everything to figure out what's what. Even as a kid, that's what you do. I'm not saying that there is never a place to show you certain things about the gameplay, but not everything. If you were lucky enough to have clicked the Disable All Future Tutorials text box whenever it popped up, good for you. Otherwise, you're in for a lot of over-explanation. The music sounds just like the soundtrack from the most recent mainline Crash platformer at the time, Crash Twinsanity. It's got a lot of acapella, which is pretty unique in the video game space. Even today, the soundtrack separates the game from more generic kart races. Acapella group Spiral Mouth returns to CTTR from Twinsanity. I wasn't in love with the music from Twinsanity. I thought it was very original and creative, but over time, it just sort of got under my skin. Thankfully, it's a little toned down in Crash Tag Team Racing. All of the racers available in this game are Crash, his sister Coco, Crunch, Dr. Neo Cortex, his niece Nina, Engine, Von Cortex himself, and a new character, Pasadena Opossum. Some of these characters are available to race as off the bat, but others will need to be unlocked. I'll touch on that later. Another new character, but not a racer, is Willy Wumpacheeks.
Holy cannoli! What is that thing?
Wumpacheeks is the mascot for the park. Why would they use someone so ugly is beyond me, but he's there. The main collectibles in most Crash Bandicoot games are Wumpa Fruit, but in this game, they are Wumpa Coins. They're quite satisfying to collect, especially when breaking the wooden crates. The first area, Mystery Island, is pirate themed. As we finally get into the racing, the first thing I've got to say is that I really love the camera angle. It immediately reminds me of Mario Kart Double Dash, a personal favorite of mine. Now, here's the gimmick of Crash Tag Team Racing, clashing with the other vehicles. This is something I have never seen in any other kart racer. You can clash with any racer on the track. You press the Y button to clash, and at first, you are designated to the back of the cart, where the weapon is. Each racer has their own distinct weapon that fits their personality. Using the weapons against the enemies is really effective and a great addition to this game. You aren't always restricted to blasting from the back of the vehicle though. You can press the Z button to switch to the driver's seat. Once you and your teammate are out of ammo, you automatically move apart. Or you can do this anytime by pressing the Y button. When you do separate from your teammate, you get a boost of speed. I really like this addition. Something that I really adore about this racing mode is that once you perform a clash with another racer, the speed slows down and shows you each part of each racer's kart combined together for its own perfect creation. That's definitely one of my favorite things about this game. I love it. It also provides an awesome incentive to use the clash mechanic. Later on in the game, you can unlock more speed options. Think CCs in Mario Kart. You'll start off with normal, which is a bit slow, but once you unlock faster is when the game gets really good race-wise. This is definitely the way the game is meant to be played. The fastest unlockable speed, insane, is just a little too insane for me. The game has several modes outside of normal races. Crashinator, smash as many objects as you can. Rolling Thunder, destroy as many vehicles as you can. Battle Arena, where you can drive or shoot enemies in a contained area with different power-ups. You can drive or shoot, but it's always more fun to shoot. Run and Gun, where you shoot the targets that are marked with bullseyes. Stunt Park, where you need to perform several different moves to reach the high score. And finally, Fast Lap, which is just a time trial. The Fast Lap mode is the worst. We've all played time trials, right? No big deal. But this one is unfair. No matter how much you practice your drifts, utilize your boosts, take advantage of power-ups, etc., you will still most likely not reach the #1 spot. I didn't start having a problem with this mode until the second themed area, Happily Ever After. It's out of nowhere just starts getting impossible to finish on top. That's what she said. I started skipping fast lap sections entirely after how frustrated I was with how they set these time limits. If you pick up this game, skip these sections. It is not worth the headache. Rolling Thunder is my favorite mode. It's utter chaos. Even on the hardest difficulties, it's not too hard to get first place. Crashinator is decent. It's just you driving through the item marked with the bullseye. Later on, they get really challenging, but not unfair like Fast Lap. My favorite thing about Crashinator is that each area has a different theme for whatever world you're in, like how Happily Ever After has frogs with crowns on. These small things and this attention to detail is what makes Crash Tag Team Racing shine. Stunt Park is fun at first, but the time limit is just too long and you start doing the same tricks over and over again. Basically, just do the spin on the C-stick and you're good. This would be a lot more enjoyable if you lowered down the time, the score, and made the tricks more interesting. Moving on to the tracks themselves, I love them. They all feel really different. Mystery Island is pirate themed. Happily Ever After, fairy tale themed. Tyrannosaurus Rex, prehistoric themed. Toontown, mummy themed. And finally, Astroland, space themed. The worst are Astroland and Toontown. Astroland is bland and uninspired. Toontown isn't necessarily bad, but just mediocre. My absolute favorite, though, is Happily Ever After, the fairy tale land. It has both sections, good and evil, rather than just focusing on the happy. There are a lot of Jack and the Beanstalk style courses, and all of them are really fun. All the first themed areas are great, and I have no complaints. The last two, world and track-wise, had potential, but could have been much better. You can switch between difficulties with different bonuses coin-wise. No matter the difficulty, the first place prize is still power crystals that you can collect to purchase a number of different things, such as outfits. You can buy more outfits with Wumpa coins by talking to these park drones with a t-shirt displayed above their heads. They each have something funny and witty to say. This is something that the developers didn't have to do, but they took the time to write and record these individual lines for each of these park drones.
Now that's more like it, laddie. Maybe you'll be lucky and find a green lass of your own with that suit. Okay, beam me up, me. Shut up, laddie.
Another small detail that lends this game great personality. Something really neat about the outfits is that if you choose them, you not only wear them in the world, but also in the races. There aren't any throughout the game that are a must-wear, but they're fun to obtain. Exploring the hub world and each individual themed area, you can talk to several different racers to do little side quests to unlock other outfits, power crystals, and even cars. I actually didn't start unlocking vehicles until later in the game. I was always focused with traveling to each themed area of the park than talking with characters in the hub world. I was so sucked into collecting coins, racing, smashing boxes, and exploring the world that I totally forgot about this side stuff. My favorite out of all of the vehicles is actually Crash's default one. I like the big wheel on the back and the two in the front. There are 3 tiers of carts to unlock. From what I can tell, the stats never change on the unlockable cars. It's basically just skins. But it's a lot of fun to take the time to do these side missions. Doing these favors in the hub world is also how you unlock different characters so you can fill out your racing roster. They don't take very long. Some are just talking to the characters in the hub world and them asking you to buy them outfits or retrieve something special for them. Coco is fun because just listen to her voice and tell me if it sounds like anyone.
Oh, Crash, thank goodness you're here! I've been trying to get this car working, but that stupid know-it-all-know-nothing Nina stole my fusion unit. You've got to get it back for me.
Speaking of the voice acting, it's not so great. Pretty annoying at times, actually. I think the big reasons I played as Crash is because, 1, I love Crash, and 2, he doesn't speak. Every racer in the game does not stop talking while they race. Whatever you do not pick Cortex. He says some questionable things.
Oh, I did a bad thing. It's not my fault he sucks platypus eggs. I'm funky, fresh, and beautiful. I'm hiding this crystal in my special place.
A small thing that deserves talking about are the dioramas. It's just these fun little things where Crash can activate around the park where he dies in creative and funny ways, each being different than the others. Here are some of my favorites. Of course, this game has multiplayer, and the last 3 videos I've done have all had multiplayer, and I keep stressing to my dog that I don't have an extra controller, so I can't show you any of this footage. Connor, why have I not found a receiver to my Wavebird and or another controller? I'm spending my money on other things, why can't I just get another controller? Why won't you get me another controller? Does my love not mean anything to you? Before I wrap up this review, there's something I wanted to mention. In my Crash Twinsanity video, I said that CTR on the PlayStation 1 is the best kart racer of the generation. Crash Team Racing, the best kart racer of the generation. Now, I don't know why I said that. It's not what I actually think. I think Mario Kart 64 is my favorite and the best kart racer of that generation. Just wanted to get that out of the way. This review is getting a little too long in the tooth, so I'm going to wrap it up. Crash Tag Team Racing is a very original game. It mixes 3D platforming and kart racing into one game, which is something I've never experienced before. The clashing is not only a really cool thing, but the way that they slow it down and show each part of the individual racer's kart combined together is awesome. And it doesn't happen the same way with each vehicle. All of them have their own personalities and morph together in their own specific way. The humor is on point with the writings, the dioramas, and all the animations. Although not all the tracks are something to write home about, the ones that are the best are truly impressive and memorable. The vehicle design fits the personality of each racer really well. I also really love doing favors for people to get the cars, characters, outfits, etc. Although the racing was awesome, I wish there were more. Percentage-wise, it's around 60% platforming, 40% racing. Although that is a flaw in the game, it's really hard to ignore how good the platforming is. Only about half the racing options are fun and worth playing, which lowers the value to a game that's already so full of content. The faster speed difficulty is hands down the way to play the game. This should have been the default speed. I was really surprised by this game. It's definitely one of the most original games I've ever played. Honestly, I can't think of any other game that does anything like this. Part 3D platformer, part kart racer. So, is this a better game than CTR on the PS1? It's hard for me to say, but I think so. Its originality and fun outweighs the original Crash Bandicoot racing game. Do not get me wrong, I still love CTR. I think it's still one of the best kart racers of all time. I would say Crash Tag Team Racing is right here, and then CTR is a close second. I recommend this game to fans of the original Crash Bandicoot racing game, Crash fans in general, and avid kart racer fans like myself. I give Crash Tag Team Racing on the GameCube an 8.5 out of 10. Wow, I've been playing some really good games lately. I feel like this is gonna come around and bite me in the butt. Until then.